All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Imbriano. Today is Thursday, September 10th, 2020, and I'm reporting to you live from the streets of Orange County, California, on this wonderful Thursday morning. In spite of all that's being done to us, ladies and gentlemen, the word is getting out, the message is getting out, and a lot of people are waking up to the scam. And I don't mind telling you that I'm very appreciative of the confirmation of the aforementioned, because after all, folks, without our children, without your children, there is no future. And one of the reasons why they want our children is because their father, the devil, hates life, hates joy, hates innocence, and hates the future of humanity, because he is a damned fool, a damned being, a damned creature with no hope of any redemption, only eternal damnation. Children, on the other hand, are very, very special. They're full of love. Their imaginations are vivid. Their creativity is off the charts. The energy that they have is something that the demonic realm hates. And so consequently, that's why we have this war on children. And consequently, that's why the schools are being prepared for what they're being prepared for. This is Fullerton, California, 92834. On the web at thefullertoninformer.com, 5G.com, vaxdangers.com, celltowerdangers.com, and on it goes, folks. Wi-Fi-dangers.com is if you're a parent of a young girl, a young school-age girl. Wi-Fi-dangers.com is a very important site. All right. I would like all of you out there to send me pictures of your schools that are all fenced in like prison. Boy, they're buffering already, right? I'm literally sitting here stopped at a traffic light, and the signal's cutting out. I'm not even moving. There's a cell tower about 80 feet away from me. I've got 5 bars, and the thing's cutting out. Amazing, right? All right, so why is the CDC warning parents that their children might be spending the night or multiple nights at school? What are they preparing you for? What's going on? Why do the schools have bulletproof glass and security doors at the office? Why are the children being fenced in? Why are the schools looking like prisons? Why is a kindergarten looking like a fortress? Well, I can tell you right now, there is going to come a time where you're going to have some really pissed off parents wanting to get their children out, and they're not going to let them out. Why? Well, what do you think is going on? You don't think they're going to continue this phony virus crap for another 5 years until they completely destroy the economy and kidnap everyone's children? I mean, folks, I don't think you realize, maybe some of you do, but I don't think you realize just how serious of a problem we face. The people that are in control of the media, the people that are in control of the educational system, the people that are in control of the judiciary, the people that are in control of the criminal justice system, the people that are in control of the churches, the people that are in control every aspect of our society that's being controlled by the medical system right now, the people that control the pharmaceutical industry, the medical industry, they are worshipers. If it hasn't occurred to you, let me repeat. The people that control the medical, people that control the churches, people that control the criminal justice system, the people that control the military-industrial complex, the people that control the Hollywood movie studios, the people that control the music industry, the video game industry, the print houses, the newspapers, the magazines, the television stations, the news agencies are devil worshippers. They hate us. Look what they feed us. Lies, fear, filth, perversion, kinky crap to make you insecure and stupid so you'll eat too much, drink too much, smoke too much, take too many pills, and kill yourself, and dump your wife, abuse your spouse, cheat, doped up. Folks, Everything they feed us is to destroy us. Everything they tell us to do is the opposite of what you should do. Every piece of guidance ever been given is an inversion of what God's plan is. Look at the television. Look at the television. Look at the satanic, electronic, psychotronic, black scrying mirror Ouija board controlled by the deniers of Jesus Christ is doing to you and the world right now with this gigantic psychological war operation designed to destroy and implode economies, ruin lives, and exterminate a vast majority of humanity through economic collapse. And if that doesn't finish people off, the depression and the economic and psychological warfare will, right? And the doctors will, right? And the pills will, right? Now they're telling you not to go outside. So why are they telling the parents to prepare your children to spend the night? Cool. You know, that's kind of creepy, folks. You know, since when do you drop your children off someplace with gates and prisons and prison walls and bulletproof glass and tinted windows and electromagnetic Wi-Fi, Y-Gig, Wi-Fi 6, Project Bizarre Frequency, wireless access points all over the ceilings, with LED lights and fluoridated water drinking fountain dispensers? Why would you ever drop your children off in a facility like that and then be told prepare for them to stay a couple days against your will? Folks, they're telling you what they're going to do. And why is that, folks? Why is that? What are they planning for your children? Well, I'm not going to let you sit there and let your imagination run wild. I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. They're going to turn on their Wi-Fi weapons. That's right, the 60 gigahertz weapons that the QAnon con groups and the fake anti-5G... By the way, there are all these anti-5G controlled opposition groups out there, and they're now saying that they're not going to use 60 gigahertz in the United States. Are you kidding me? I can tell you where they're not going to use 60 gigahertz. They're not using 60 gigahertz in Israel, all right? But the United States has already got 60 gigahertz in the home Wi-Fi systems that are coming, and the point-to-point communication systems in the cellular networks. They put in 60 gigahertz Y-Gig all over Puerto Rico after the hurricane slammed through there. And now these supposed anti-5G groups are telling us, oh no, the QAnon con Trump's not going to put 60 gigahertz in the United States. Let me ask you a question. You believe that crap? Do you have a $25,000 spectrum analyzer to prove that statement wrong? Of course you don't. And even if you had the $25,000 or $30,000 to buy a spectrum analyzer, you wouldn't be able to get your hands on one because you're not allowed to own one of those things to detect the weaponized frequency. So they could tell you anything they want. And by the way, if you believe Donald Trump is the solution, you are mentally ill. Donald Trump is a Trojan horse for the wireless industry. Donald Trump is a Trojan horse for the banking cartel. Donald Trump is a Trojan horse for the military-industrial complex. Donald Trump is a Trojan horse for the communist revolution in the United States. Why do you think all this stuff is happening? Because he's allowing it. Why do you think we have a national ID card called Real ID 2020? Because he gave us the national ID card. Why do you think we have red flag laws that can take your guns away before you've been convicted of a crime? Because Donald Trump advocates for that. Why do we have an implosion of the Social Security system to bankrupt the retirement system for tens of millions of Americans? Because Donald Trump has just voted to stop the contributions. Why is Donald Trump voting to, or actually ordering the Postal Service to remove all the voting, the sorting machines? Donald Trump buying the Postal Service. Why? Because it's the only form of communication left that can't be monitored electronically. And Donald Trump, the Trojan horse, is sitting back letting the Postal Service get dismantled. Oh, he's bailing out everything else but the Postal Service, right? The last vestige of free communication, private communication in the world, for crying out loud. And Trump's going to let it implode, let Amazon take everything over, right? Folks, you people that believe in Donald Trump are sick in the head, all right? Now, back to the schools. Why do they want your children to be prepared to spend the night? Well, I'll tell you why. Because they plan on keeping them there against your will, and they're going to keep them there under the guise of a fake outbreak And they're going to probably vaccinate them and stick the COVID swabs up their nose into their brainstem, right? Folks, the schools have weaponized Wi-Fi systems. The schools have weaponized HVAC systems. And the schools are going to have your children locked in there behind those prison walls. All right? And they're going to do tests on them. And they're going to hold the children at these facilities against your will. Now, to put up with that, then look, I know there are a lot of people out there. Trump's the Messiah. Yeah, Trump's the Antichrist, folks. So is Kushner and the rest of his clan. Folks, get over this fake. Get over this fake, false dichotomy of left, right, conservative, Republican, Democrat, Republican. Folks, come on, man. I mean, come on. Trump's for vaccines. Trump's for 5G. Trump's for, locking us up, locking us down. Trump's all about... I don't want to talk about him anymore because, honestly, the guy makes me sick. And the people that believe in this guy make me sick, okay? And, go pound sand if you don't like this message. There's plenty of channels out there. Oh yeah, the children in the tunnels, right? Oh, they've destroyed the whole world economy so they can get the children out of the tunnels, right? Oh, really? Why don't we just bulldoze the Getty and open up the tunnels? Why doesn't Trump send the military into all these underground facilities and just open the gates, right? You sickos. You idiots. You COVIDiots, right? You believe this nonsense? That they're going to rescue these children? For crying out loud, how many times did Trump fly in Epstein's plane? How many times did Trump go to Epstein's fantasy island, right? These guys are all buds. They got crap on each other. That's how they stay in power. Nobody crosses the line, and when they do, they disappear, right? That's right. It's called, in the blue code of silence, the blue wall silence, in the upper echelons of politics, the color is red. Because it's sealed in blood, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I strongly recommend that you homeschool your children, and not with online learning, but with textbooks and pencils and paper and chalkboard and glue and popsicle sticks and blocks and three-dimensional learning. Do not put your children in front of a computer screen. The computer screens make your children stupid. And by the way, all the computer screens that the school districts handing out got cameras on them for the pedophiles to go through the menu of appetizers, side dishes, main courses, and desserts called photos, okay? If you think I'm kidding, you got another thing coming. This channel is not for the faint of heart. This channel is not for the emasculated morons. This channel is for people that are ready to deal with truth, all right? If you want emasculated, moronic content, then go to the ones that are run by all the controlled opposition shills that are still monetized, where the views don't get frozen and the comments don't get deleted, right? You know who those channels are. The ones who put out all the fear porn. They're all working together. You know who I'm talking about. The ones that won't talk about 60 gigahertz in the classrooms. The ones that won't talk about the iodine frequency coming out of the routers in the classrooms. The ones that won't talk about the Project Bazaar frequencies coming out of the cell towers. The ones that won't talk about what's really going on and how this is a war on oxygen. How they won't talk about how this is a war on your children. How they won't talk about how they're weaponizing the air conditioning systems with reactive oxygen species, cold plasma generating systems to damage their lungs. How they tell you that hydroxychloroquine is good. They won't tell you that it's part of the agenda to weaken your ability to breathe by messing up your red blood cell production and recycling, right? They won't talk about how the 5G frequencies affect your iron levels. They won't talk about what 28 gigahertz does to carbon dioxide in the diffusion through the lung tissue. No, they won't talk about any of this stuff. They'll talk about exosomes and voltage-gated calcium channels and all this nonsense that is caused by disinformation agents being intentionally planted in the arena so you can't stomach the truth because it's watered down with garbage, all right? This is all very simple, folks. This is a war on oxygen. This is a war on oxygen. This is a war on your ability to breathe. This is a war on your air. This is run by the prince of the power of the air. That's why he's using 60 gigahertz. And that's why the sons of Cain are going to install this everywhere. But you've got to bring it into your house in order for you to get yourself with it. So don't bring it into your house. 802.11 AD on the back of the device means it goes in the trash, folks. That means it's a weapon. Any electronic device that says 802.11 AD on the back of it, get it out of your house, get it out of your life. That's the calling card for the millimeter wave transmission frequency band, folks. 802.11 AD. If it has the ability to transmit at that frequency, number one, it can be remote controlled and turned on and aimed at you. And number two, you've got to be a dummy to keep it, right? Folks, I strongly recommend you homeschool your children. Do not put your children in public school, okay? I know there's some of you out there that can't afford to do otherwise. You're on government assistance, you're in government housing, you're in a bind, okay? The only thing I can tell you is to try to find a way to team up with other families so you can move in with somebody that can stay home and teach the children, okay? 95% of what these children are being taught that they will never use. 99% of what they've been taught is a lie. And children do not need to learn all the stuff that's being rammed down their throats, folks. The reason why we're in this mess is because they've filled everybody's brains with such a bunch of garbage that they can't tell what the truth is if it's slapped them upside the head with a 2x4. And that's why people can't separate fact from fiction. They're overwhelmed with a bunch of stuff to memorize. They're overwhelmed with the blurring of the lines of science fiction and reality on the television. And the movies that have been put out are nothing more than training videos on how to behave when they roll out the agendas. Folks, you got to teach your children to think. And the schools don't teach your children to think. The schools mess up their brains, mess up their psyche, mess up their identity, and now they're going to mess up their physical health with the weaponized Wi-Fi systems in the classrooms that are going to induce symptoms of illness that they're going to blame on an outbreak, and they're going to lock the children down against your will in that prison facility, not let you in, and they're going to keep them there, and you're not going to be allowed to go in there and inspect the facility or see the facility. And they're going to be given vaccines, they're going to be medicated, they're going to be tested, they're going to have things done to them against your will, behind your back. So I strongly recommend at a time like this, when the economy in the future looks extremely bleak in terms of its linear existence that we once thought was going to continue, the schools are training children for jobs that don't exist. The schools are training children for a future that is not going to happen. And the schools have now become a predatory source. Young victims, quite possibly the pedophile rings, if these children are kidnapped and taken away to facilities and then told that they died of COVID and then you can't see the body like they've done in other countries. The word of warning to the parents right now is do everything within your power to keep your children out of these facilities. Now, I know there are people out there like my neighbors who work for the government, who worship the government, and who hate me and hate my message. And you know what? You're going to pay the price. Some of you have already paid dearly for what you have done. Some of you will continue to be judged by Almighty God for what you're involved in. And it will never end. The judgment of God be upon the enemies of the children in Jesus' name. Especially in my community, who have had the blowtorch in their face for going on 10 years, and they still double down and damage the children. I wouldn't want to be you. I wouldn't want to be your child. I wouldn't want to be related to you or associated with you because of what you've done and what you have coming from above. The wrath of God abides upon sons and daughters of disobedience, and he who messes with children, it would be better for a millstone to be hung around their neck and to be cast into the depths of the sea. Children, right? By the way, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who think this is all a big joke, that none of this is real, what happened to your job? What happened to going out and going dancing? Whatever happened to going out and having a bite to eat? Whatever happened to going and walking around and walking up to someone, giving them a hug? Whatever happened to going up and shaking someone's hand? Whatever happened to going somewhere without looking like you got a diaper on your face? You don't think what I'm talking about is possible? Look what they've done so far. Look at this. Look at what they've done so far. You think that this is far-fetched? All I can say, folks, is the longer you believe the lies and the longer you kick back and pretend like this is all going to blow over and you're just going to get through it, you got another thing coming. You got to understand. They've got the system set up to where if they push a button, the power goes out. And when the power goes out, the refrigerator doesn't work. When the refrigerator doesn't work, the food goes bad. And when the food goes bad, you got nothing to eat. And then you go to the grocery store and there's no power. Their refrigerator's out and their electricity's out and their cash register's out. And there's no food. And when there's no power, the traffic lights don't work. And the freeways get backed up and the trucks don't roll. And by the way, the gas pumps don't work, so the trucks can't come. And by the way, if they diagnose somebody with this fake virus at the meatpacking plant, they just shut the meatpacking plant down. And guess what? You're living in a compact city with millions of people who are all carnivores, and you're going to be on the freaking menu! That's what they want. And what scares me the most is the reason they're allowing us to continue to eat right now is because they're still preparing us to walk into the slaughterhouse. Right? Listen to me. There's a reason why the classrooms look like prisons. There's a reason why the pedophiles, most of these superintendents of these school districts are pedophiles. Okay? There's a reason why the Title I schools are the most at risk. There's a reason why these schools have put in bulletproof glass and basically hardened readouts in the access points to the schools, prison gates, prison fencing, prison walls, because they are designed to keep your children in and possibly even, look. What's gone on in Mexico, from a first-hand account, is that people are being when they go into the hospital for something like heart palpitations, the husband will bring the wife, and this is a true story. This woman, she happened to be elderly, like in her 70s, and she was brought to the hospital in Mexico by her daughter. And then as soon as she walked her in, as soon as the daughter walked in to explain what was going on, people came out of the hospital to get the mom in the parking lot and try to forcibly take her into the hospital. And the daughter said no, and they said she has to come in, and they tried to force her in the hospital. And then the daughter literally went on a tirade and started cussing out these people. Because what they were going to do is drag her in, COVID test her, and like in other instances, people have gone in for things like, their blood pressure or their blood sugar was out of whack, and they end up getting a COVID diagnosis, and they end up getting intubated, and they end up getting murdered, or they end up getting disappeared, and then all the parents or the spouse or the daughter gets is a black bag with a number on it, being buried in what looks like a garbage dump outside of town in mass graves. Do you understand me? Do you understand me, ladies and gentlemen? It is very possible they could do the same thing with your children. You could never see them again. Because all they have to say is, oh my gosh, the school has an outbreak, when it's really the Wi-Fi that's weaponized and has been turned on. And the children will never know what it... All the schools... by the way, all the schools that had this stuff put into it, there were 3 schools where they ran these tests. I did that video. Just Google the mystery illness in schools, Joe Imbriano. It's out there. Unfortunately, the video was taken down, and there's some clips of it out there, but no one's linking back to the source. They don't. The one video that's out there in Sweden doesn't even mention who I am or how to find this information. She goes into some weird form, and it's all scrambled up, so you'll never be able to link back to the source, but you're getting it here. Folks, they have the ability to turn on these frequencies, and one of the things that happened in these schools, all these kids, they started getting shortness of breath and paralyzed and dizzy, and staff and teachers were passing out, right? all this weird neurological and respiratory impairments induced by electromagnetic weaponry that was installed in these schools. But as soon as they left the school, the symptoms went away. Now, once they lock you into the school, you'll never get away from the cause of the symptoms, and they're going to call it the COVID virus or the coronavirus or whatever, and they're going to force the place to be locked down. They possibly could take the children away, and then they're going to say they died, and you'll never see them again. And by the way, when someone dies of the coronavirus, you cannot see the body, okay? So, folks, look, you want to roll the dice, go ahead with your children. And if you're in a situation where you have no choice, do your diligence to find a way out of being addicted to the government services, okay? Do you understand me? Do yourself a favor, folks. Try to break free from these entanglements that they've got you addicted to. If you're in government housing, they're going to force you to wear a mask. They're going to install weaponry. They're going to install weaponized light bulbs. I know people that live in government housing in Orange County, and you go in there and the Wi-Fi frequency's off the charts. There's a cell tower outside the building. Got all these weird LED lights that hurt your eyes. All right, I think that's the fifth time that's been cut out. So try to find a way to go move in with some family. If you've burned bridges and that's why you're in this mess, try to mend and make amends, and try to get back with family or friends, and try to get your children homeschooled. Try to get the children out of the government system. Try to get out of the food stamp, all the SNAP. Everything's a trap, folks. Everything is a trap. All right. You've got to get out of the government entitlements, which are entanglements, which are designed to trap and control us. All right? There is no coronavirus, folks. It's fake. It's a psychological warfare operation that's being used to literally steamroll and trample everything we've ever had, everything we've ever taken for granted, and everything our ancestors fought and died for and bled out barefoot in the snow for, folks. It's unbelievable how they can make up a cartoon character, put it all over a bunch of screens, and everybody that's been elected to public office goes right along with all this criminality, folks. What's it going to take? Is it going to take them stealing your children for you to draw your line in the sand, ladies and gentlemen? The line in the sand is drawn already, folks, and I've laid it out, and you need to be prepared for what they could do to your children. Look, they're not going to do this at all the schools. They're only going to do it at a handful, and that's going to be enough justification for the next draconian level of control. We need to understand. We need to understand that the virus is fake. It's not real. It doesn't exist. Viruses don't even exist the way you've been taught. It's all a lie. And they're using this to set up a system to where they can kill everybody and steal your children. Okay? They're going to starve a lot of people to death because most people can't produce food. Most people don't have any place to grow food. Most people think food comes from a refrigerator or a shelf. And it does! All of you need to start preparing right now for massive shortages in food and things that we take for granted. Stock up on everything you can. And look, the Bible tells us that a prudent man foresees evil and hides himself, and it also tells us that a man who doesn't make preparation for his household is worse than an infidel. So, as far as all these churches, they're all shut down. Praise God, they're shut down. They're worthless crooks. They don't worship God, they worship the government. They're Romans 13 tax-exempt corporations. They're all on the clergy response team, getting ready to take your guns and put vaccines in you. All these big churches are going to be forced vaccination centers and gun confiscation centers. Folks, wake up and say no. One of the most incredible things Jesus Christ did while he was alive was he gave us an example of the time and place and the reason for righteous indignation. And you study it. And you understand it. And you get prepared. Protect your children at all costs, ladies and gentlemen. At all costs. I don't care if it requires the ultimate sacrifice. They're worth it. This is Joe Imbriano, P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California. 92834. Once again, P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92834. Joe Imbriano 777 at gmail.com, thefullertoninformer.com, wifidangers.com, vaxdangers.com. And real quick, folks, this is not about the mask, whether or not we have to wear masks, folks. The people that are focused on the masks are part of this operation. There's a controlled opposition agency operation going on in Orange County. All they talk about is the masks. Not that the virus is fake. Not that they're going to do all this stuff with the electromagnetic weaponry. It's all just another diversion, folks. One of the ways that we win this is we understand their mechanism by which they're operating. The satanic pedophile Christ-denying scum that are doing this operate under a system called full spectrum dominance. Okay, we need to understand the full spectrum of the attack. And these controlled opposition agents only focus on one component of it, so you don't catch the others. See, when you put all the pieces together, then you can figure out what the puzzle looks like. Have you ever seen a jigsaw puzzle when it comes out of the box and you compare it to the cover? It's unbelievable, right? Nobody in their right mind could ever figure out what that thing looks like until they put all the pieces together. Well, they've got these shills out there getting you focused on the masks, or focused on the DARPA gel, or focused on the satellites, or focused on these this and that, instead of explaining how everything comes together and who's behind it. Don't fall for that nonsense, folks. And don't think just because you don't have to wear a mask, this thing's over. Folks, this thing just got started. This thing is going to go for another 5 years, folks. And unless they're telling you the virus is a fraud, that the virus doesn't exist, that the weaponry is the electromagnetic weaponry, and that there's going to be malaria in the vaccines, brucella in the food supply, and other elements of this, like the hydroxychloroquine and all these things working together to take our breath away, they're in on it, folks. And I don't want to hear from you, oh, well, they don't know. Of course they know. Look who they work for. Look who they're working with, for crying out loud, folks. All right. I think I went long again. First and foremost, Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. And those that don't have him got a problem on their hands. I will tell you this right now. There's no better time than today to get right with him. And the truth is not in those that deny him. Just remember that. Take care, ladies and gentlemen.